Germany's monopoly territory is home to 17 million people.
Families already struggle to pay their bills.
PG&E was convicted of 91 felonies.
Really? I mean, what's next?
Greybeard Talks Solar. He is SolarWise.
Welcome to the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. So glad that you're here. This is a place where we talk about everything going on in the solar industry, primarily geared towards homeowners, but we have a lot of followers and subscribers to the channel that are also within the industry. In today's show, we're going to be talking about how much more do you need to oversize your solar system if you're contemplating buying an electric vehicle, because this is a very, very common question within homeowners, talk forums and things like that on solar. People are confused. Some people say oversize your system by 10%, 20%, 30%. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I have a very specific calculation that we'll discuss and overview today that should help you to size the system properly. But if you find the information today to be thought-provoking and enlightening, please smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons. We definitely want to continue to grow the channel, and we need your help to do so. So let's jump right into it. So obviously, if you're considering an electric vehicle, you're doing so. Most people are considering them for cost savings. You want to spend less money on gasoline. I personally own an electric vehicle. I've got a Tesla Model 3, and my life changed when I got an electric vehicle. There is something very, very sublime and soothing to never having to visit a gas station. But improper sizing of your solar or complete reliance on the dirty grid energy companies to provide your electricity if you have an electric vehicle is not recommended, right? It would be a travesty if you try to save money on gasoline to only then significantly increase your cost of electricity by not accounting for the right size solar. Now, let me just say this. If you're going to get an electric vehicle, you should strongly consider getting solar. It's the 1-2 combo. It is really meant to go together, just like peanut butter and jelly go together, or in my case, I'm a peanut butter and banana fan. I like peanut butter and banana sandwiches. So anyway, I digress. So let's talk about electric vehicles. One of the first things that I really see with electric vehicles relative to the solar equation is we do have a lot of people that end up using a lot more energy than they're expecting. And most people don't realize that electric vehicles and space heaters, electric vehicles and space heaters, energy vampires, man, they just consume a ton of energy. And if you're buying energy, for example, in California, if you're buying it from PG&E, Southern California Edison, or San Diego Gas and Electric, the big 3 for-profit utility companies in California, it's the most expensive energy that you can get. And obviously, if you're trying to save the most money possible with an EV, I think that the combination of saving on gasoline by having an electric vehicle, but then saving on electricity by having solar, I think is the perfect match. So with my Tesla Model 3, I'm going to use that as an example to talk about how much you would want to consider oversizing your system. So Tesla cars, and this is going to be a little different if you've got a hybrid, and not so different if you've got a different vehicle manufacturer. Every fully electric vehicle out there is going to have a certain amount of battery capacity, a certain amount of storage capacity in their batteries. For example, some Teslas are 80 kilowatt hour storage. Some are 100 kilowatt hours of storage in terms of the battery size. For example, I think the Hummer, the EV Hummer, is got like 212 kW of storage in the batteries. So every electric vehicle is different. Hybrids especially, and you'd want to note that when I talk about electric consumption or electricity consumption via the vehicle, if you're in a hybrid but you're using more electricity than you are gasoline, still bringing that car back home to charge, all of this information is going to be appropriate for you as well. But let's take, for example, the Tesla. Let's assume that the Tesla has a 100 kilowatt hour battery in it. And so for context, most Teslas are going to suggest that you could have a range of 300 miles on a fully charged 100% up to the top battery. All right. So let's use that as an example. 100 kilowatt hour battery, 300 mile range. So if you use that as the example, and let's assume that you take a 50 mile trip one way, 50 mile back, 100 mile round trip. So in essence, driving 100 miles in your fully electric car, you're going to consume about 33 kilowatt hours of that battery, total battery storage that's in the car. So you've depleted it by a third. Think of it that way. Now, keep that number in the back of your head, 33. In California specifically, and this is data that is accurate through the first quarter of 2023. I don't know that they've published it for 2024, certainly not yet for 2025. But in California, the average home in California consumes about 11,600 kilowatt hours of energy a year. So 11,600. We can estimate just 12,000, somewhere in that range. But let's just use 11.6 for example. If you take 11,600, divide that by 365 days in a year, you're going to realize that the average home in California consumes about 31 kilowatt hours of energy a day. Okay. Now, a lot of people ask me, okay, what size of home does that mean? I don't know. Some people ask me, what is the age of the home? I don't know. Some people ask me how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the energy efficiency? I don't know any of that. So that number is just the total amount of consumed energy in the state of California divided by the estimated, maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not, highly estimated, average number of houses in the state. So if you divide total amount of consumed electricity by the average number of houses in the states, that's how they arrived at that. So we don't have any specificity as to bedroom count, square footage of the size of the home, age of the home, any of that other stuff. Just use that as the number. So let's say 11.6 for a year, 31 kilowatt hours in a day, right? So we just talked about driving 100 miles in a fully electric EV, a Tesla in my case, and that might consume 33 kilowatt hours of energy driving that 100 miles. That's how much it depletes the battery. You bring it back home, you plug it in. So in essence, what we're seeing here is the average electric vehicle on a full charge, driving 100 miles, coming back home, plugging it in to charge it back up again, is going to consume about the same amount of energy that an average home does in California. So think of it this way. For some people, adding an electric car to their consumption on electricity doubles their usage. It's gonna literally double the amount of energy that they consume. Now, if you are using roughly that 12,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year, maybe it increases your consumption by 50%. But where we really want to be accurate with this in the solar equation is, listen, everybody wants to benefit from solar. Everyone wants their energy bill to be as cheap as possible. So it's frustrating to consumers, and I totally get it. It's frustrating when it seems like all of a sudden, because of maybe incorrect sizing, PG&E or Edison or San Diego Gas and Electric are reaching right back in, grabbing fistfuls of $100 bills out of your wallet. It really feels defeating, because the idea is that you want to get away from them as much as possible. So proper sizing on an EV is going to be critical. So here's what I would suggest as a professional. You got to take the total amount of estimated at-home charging miles. So if you drive to work and they've got a charging station, they allow you to charge for free, disregard what I'm about to say. If you get any type of work benefit for charging your car, what we really want to account for is the miles that will be driven that will then be at home charging. So let's say you don't have a work benefit. You're a business owner yourself. You drive 50 miles one way to get to work, drive 50 miles back, and that's how you work, 5 days out of the week. And so you tell me that you're consuming or expected to use 15,000 miles a year of charging that electric vehicle at home. I would, for every 1,000 miles, that's going to add about 310 kilowatt hours of energy to you. Or think of it this way, for every 10,000 miles you drive, it's going to add about 3,100 kilowatt hours of extra consumption to how much energy you're using inside the home attributable to the charging, right? So if somebody's using 15,000 or expected to drive 15,000 miles a year, we would estimate that they're probably going to be in the 4,700 kilowatt hour range for additional energy consumption with that amount of miles driven, substantially charging at home. Let's take, for example, 20,000. That'd be about 6,200 kilowatt hours of additional energy. So this is going to be a critical component to proper sizing because you want to definitely account for that. Now, pro tip here, okay? Of all of the jurisdictions that we work with, the easiest to oversize, well, I wouldn't say jurisdiction. This is actually utility companies. So PG&E is the most liberal with the amount of oversizing that you can do with solar. So let's say you're using 12,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year. In PG&E territory, we could build a system for you that would consume, let's say, 18,000 miles or 18,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year. So in other words, over generating by 50%. So in other words, PG&E doesn't limit us presently on how much we can oversize the building of the solar system to account for something like electric vehicle driving, right? Now, some jurisdictions, some utilities do. For example, SMUD, Sacramento Municipal Utility District, they'll limit us to no more than 110% of your prior 12 months of energy consumption. Roseville, in Roseville, California, they only allow for 101% of your prior 12 months of energy consumption. So PG&E does not presently limit you, so you can't account for that. You would want to account for extra mileage charging at home with your electric vehicle. You would want to account for an increase in energy generation to be more comfortable in the home. That's very common right now with people that are kind of moderating their usage because of cost concerns. A lot of times during the summer, people are dealing with temperatures that are higher than what they really want or ideally would like to live at or to be comfortable at, yet they don't want to get this monster, crazy, expensive utility bill in the mail. So accounting for this is going to be a critical equation. So I would suggest for every 10,000 miles, estimate about 3,100 kilowatt hours of additional energy consumption attributable to that. And then you'd want to have a little bit of energy kind of elbow room. You might oversize it by another 500 to 1,000 kilowatt hours just to make sure you're covering as much of that as you can. So real world experience for me on my Tesla, I went from, I was driving roughly 25,000 miles a year. I went from like $1,200 a month in gas to, $1,200 a month of gas to pre-solar, just straight electricity. The car added about $400 a month in cost for electricity pre-solar. We were driving it for about 6 months prior to installing solar on our home. And after that, after solar, we're down to about maybe $175. So I went from $1,200 a month in gasoline cost to spending about $175 a month in electricity after the benefit of solar. Okay, so that's real world experience. I hope that helps. If that was information that was enlightening or compelling, please do, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with somebody else that might be thinking about an electric vehicle purchase that may or may not have solar now. And we very much really appreciate you watching the channel. Thank you for watching the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel, where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into some serious savings for you. Stay charged, stay informed, and keep shining, my friends. We'll be back here same time, same place next week to talk more solar. If you want to get in touch with us, all you got to do is text solar or YouTube to 84503.
Thanks for listening to SolarWise. Greybeard Talks Solar. Please visit our website, solarwiseco.com, to learn more. And we will see you next time on SolarWise.